Data Voyagers.
AI is everywhere. It's here to stay. Each day, it consumes more data and is more present in our lives. Whomever predicts how the future with AI looks like is as uncertain as someone who thinks AI is nothing more than my name initials, Alcantara Igor, AI. So, one thing we can say for sure, if we don't incorporate AI responsibly, we could be facing a drastic and very negative change to our society. For years, artificial intelligence lived safely at the edges of organizations, recommending, suggesting, assisting. But somewhere along the way, that changed. AI stopped being a background tool and started shaping decisions, priorities, and outcomes, often quietly, often without clear ownership. Today, AI influences who gets hired, who gets flagged, who gets funded, what gets optimized, and what gets ignored. It filters reality before humans ever see it. And yet, in many organizations, no one can clearly answer a simple question: who is accountable when a AI driven decision goes wrong? So, do we need an AI constitution, which is the title of this episode? Hello, Data Voyagers. I'm Igor Alcantara. Oi, pessoal. And as always, I'm joined by my amazing, brilliant friend and co host, Qlik Partner Ambassador, Qlik Education Ambassador, amazing person, Angelika Klidas. Angelika, thanks for being here. Let me try. Helemaal. Is that right?
Hoi, hoi allemaal.
Hoi
Fijn
allemaal. All
dat je
right.
er zijn.
I'll get there someday.
Yeah. Well, you will get there. You will get there in the end. So today, what will we be talking about, Igor?
So today we'll be talking about, actually, it's all based on something you wrote, so you want to when I talk about what you wrote about AI governance, about responsible AI, and how to implement safely in organizations.
Yeah. Well, so if we continue, a governance plan is of course very important for organizations that want to implement AI, not only in the usage of solutions like Copilot or Click Answers and those kind of things, but also when they want to predict things or do other use cases. So AI governance is not about slowing innovation down or putting bureaucracy in the way of progress. It's about acknowledging a reality that we cannot longer avoid. We need to scale up responsibility as well within the organizations that we work for. So this episode, Igor, is not about theory. It's about discipline. It's about structure. It's about building guardrails for systems that learn, adapt, and sometimes fail in ways we do not immediately see. Because if we use AI or if we do AI and build amazing things without governance, it's not bold, it's reckless. So, yeah, today we were going to talk about what AI governance really means, why it matters now at this moment more than ever, and how organization can move from improvised AI to accountable, sustainable, and trustworthy decision making. And this is what we will be talking about, right?
Exactly. We'll be talking about that. But before we begin, I just have a few announcements. And there's the usual announcement, but I want to actually tell. I mean, Angelica, we already know this, as everybody at Data Voyages knows. Everybody means like three people. Um, but here in the US, the Data Voyages in the US, we are, which is Mark Cost and I, we are hosting our first Data Voyages training. Is an in-person training. So you can go to our website, datavoyages.net, and you find like the training link, and you find all of the information there. But basically, is a 3-day training. 3 day, that sounds too much, but it's just because we try to make it shorter, so we don't have to leave work for that long of a period. But trust me, the content makes sense, is relatable to your work or the work that you'll be willing to or want to push forward in that direction. And the training is Qlik AI, Qlik Predict, Qlik Answers, and MCP. So it's a 3-day training where we start with the first. There was like just a little, if people are not so familiar with the Qlik Clouds, or so little introduction to Qlik Cloud, just very like basic introduction. And then we talk about data projects. We talk about machine learning framework, how you can actually conceptualize a machine learning process, and data preparation for machine learning, and then how you train a machine learning. And there'll be like they choose all Qlik Predict, how you train a machine learning, how you deploy a machine learning, how you can run real-time simulations, integrate with your Qlik apps using the Qlik Predict API. So that's all day 2. And then day 3 is Qlik Answers, the new Qlik Answers with structured and unstructured data, and MCP, Qlik MCP, and all how can access multiple APIs. So it's a 3-day training. It is not only designed for Qlik developers, but also to Qlik developers, Qlik engineers, data architects, but also to those folks who use Qlik, but they are more advanced users. They want to get their hands dirty and do stuff on their own. It's not heavy on scripting and coding. So if you're not too familiar with programming, it's not a problem. That training is for you. So that's the training, and we are hosting in person. We have at the moment 2 places, so you can pick. So we have on end of April. You can get to our website and get the exact dates. At end of April in Boston, and then mid-May, the week of May 18, we have in King of Prussia, Philadelphia, which is close to Philadelphia, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So Boston in April, May in Pennsylvania. So we have those 2 dates. We have, because it's in person, we just have a small number of seats. So get ready, and make sure you register. The price is very, I think it's very cheap. It's cheaper than any other training, and trained by me and Mark Costa. So take a look at datavoyage.net and take a look at that training. And we'll do more trainings in the future. Maybe in Europe too. Who knows? Maybe in
Oh,
Amsterdam.
that would be amazing. Maybe in
knows?
Amsterdam, right? Or Utrecht. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And there we go. Yeah. And if you're listening to Data Voyages and you in the Netherlands, actually, I'm going there to meet my friend Angelika in May. So we'll post more details later in our social media.
Yeah, and we are even thinking about a Qlik meetup right in the Netherlands,
Exactly.
that's hosted by you and hopefully by our captain here in the Netherlands, Barry Harmson from Bitmetric. So yeah, that would be amazing. But while we are still here, I think we should remind the people as well that they have to subscribe to the Data Voyages podcast, right?
Yes.
Please,
Yes. Yes.
when you do so, give us the 5 stars, follow our page on LinkedIn, visit our website and online store, because we have some amazing stuff. I think we even have a new t-shirt, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
Yeah, go to Instagram, to our Data Voyages podcast page, and support us in any way you can. Please share, like, comment, and help us, and maybe even give us some ideas how to or what to record, what we should talk about. And then we have also, of course, a quick word from our sponsor, IPC Global.
Let's hear. Still running QlikView or QlikSense on-prem? Wondering how to get off the cloud without breaking what already works? Meet IPC Global. We specialize in moving Qlik on-prem environments securely, seamlessly, and fast to Qlik Cloud with zero disruption and maximum performance. Modern analytics, built-in AI, better governance. Same trusted Qlik, way more power. Don't just migrate, modernize with confidence. Visit ipc-global.com to know more. That's ipc-global.com. global.com, because your data deserves a smarter cloud. So this episode, as we mentioned before, it's based on a real AI governance plan of action designed by my friend here, Angelika, Klidas, to be implemented inside a complex organization, not imagined in a vacuum, but written for marketing, but built to survive audits, regulator, internal resistance, like real world pressures for all the organization. So let's start by let me remove something here. Okay, so let's start. Go back. Okay, so let's start by discussing why AI governance exists at all. Everything is. One second. There's something happening here. It's something was copied twice. Sorry. There we go. I think it makes sense now. Okay. Let me do it again. Actually, let me do the whole.
Yeah.
Once again. Léo, I'll say now in português to my editor. Léo, você pode cortar a parte. Você pode, depois da parte do patrocinador, você pode começar aqui, que eu me baralhei ali, eu vou começar de novo essa parte. All right, so let's start this episode by saying that it is, as I said before, it's based on a real AI governance plan of action that was designed by my friend here, Angelika, Klidas, to be implemented into organizations. Not to be imagined in a vacuum. It's not reading for marketing, but it's built to survive audits, regulators, internal resistance, and real-world pressure. So let's start by discussing why AI governance exists at all. Everything's grounded in the plan of action you share, right? So look, why do we actually have AI governance, Angelika?
Yeah. Why does it exist at all, right? So before we start, let's start with the hard truth. Most organizations adopt AI backwards, right? They experiment, they make a lab where they do a lot of things, deploy quickly, celebrate success stories, and later on ask for uncomfortable questions about bias, about ethics, about accountability, about legality or sustainability. And truly, that's understandable because when we are innovative, we get the rewards very quickly. And governance rewards patience, right? And AI actually is not traditional software. As we look at the traditional systems, they fail locally. AI system fails systemically. Um, so a biased dashboard affects a meeting. A biased AI affects policy, people, and lives, or it could affect policy, people, and lives. Um, and without governance, bias goes unnoticed until it becomes systemic, or privacy violations are discovered after exposure. Security gaps are exploited but not documented. Performance degrades silently, and sustainability costs are ignored until they are measurable in budget and emissions. So, if we look at AI governance, it exists to prevent predictable failure, not a hypothetical risk. And AI governance is not about preventing AI use; it's about preventing irresponsible AI. And governance is not only one thing, right? One of the most important ideas in the plan is that AI governance is not a single discipline, it's a framework composed of 6 independent pillars supported by data and AI literacy and anchored in risk management. I think risk management is mega super important in the whole concept of AI governance. So, and if we remove one of those 6 pillars, the structure collapses, right? And when we talk about the 6 pillars that we created or that I thought of when I was working on the AI governance plan, and I did a lot of reading during December and the beginning of January, um, looking at MIT, looking at Udemy, looking at Gartner and other companies to get an idea. Okay, we should make it a framework, an AI governance plan, but it should not be too big. It should be easy to handle. And from there, the 6 pillars evolved. And it's about safety, preventing accidental harm, and making sure that AI behaves reliable and with minimal human oversight. Um, I know, as an example, here in the Netherlands, we had with our tax offices an automated system, and they really had an innovative idea. Um, and actually, during the process, there was no human oversight anymore. So there was a big issue. A lot of people, over 35,000, were affected with those failures, and people were named fraud while they probably were not, right? Because the human oversight was gone, and we have to make sure that human oversight is there. But also, we have to think of security. That's the second pillar. We have to protect AI systems and data against malicious attacks and unauthorized access. And even now, I was just opening up my university tenant, my Qlik tenant that I got, and Qlik Answers is there, and it's mega. But I had to switch a toggle, and I was thinking about it. The first step that you have to do is switch a toggle that some things are cross-region, right, in the AWS systems. And I thought to myself, okay, for my university cloud, it's no problem because there is nothing in there. It's only fake data and so on. But what if it would be my own organization? We should investigate that little toggle that we have to turn on and what the consequences are. So security is an issue also with those kind of things, although I love Qlik Answers, right, to work with it. But also the third pillar is legal. We have to comply with laws. We have the European AI Act. We have the regulations like the GDPR. We have to manage privacy. There is a big leak from a big phone company. They support us with the SIM cards and all kinds of connections for internet and so on. And they lost 6.2 million addresses, bank accounts and everything. So a big issue, but we have to manage that. We have to manage the privacy in any organization. We have to classify risks. Therefore, I think risk management is the arching element above it, and the data literacy and AI literacy element is at the bottom of the side. So we have to be able to classify risks, and we have to protect, of course, our intellectual property. The fourth pillar is ethics, right? Ensuring fairness, transparency, accountability, and responsible use, whether we build the AI or we buy it, because now we see systems will have AI in it, like Canva, like Photoshop, like legal systems. Everywhere is AI embedded. So we have to take care of that from the ethical point of view and from the legal and security point of view. And performance, that's the fifth pillar. We have to verify that AI works as intended. That it stays reliable over time, and that it's monitored for drift and degradation, right? And the sixth one, I think also one very important one, is sustainability. When I do my teaching about prompting and using, for example, Copilot, I always try to explain to the people, my attendees in my classroom, that we have to be aware of the prompts that we do, right? Don't just prompt because you can prompt because you have an issue that you want to solve, right? So minimizing environmental impact and choose the efficient approach, and treat AI consumption as a real resource cost. And maybe even talk with the software vendors that deliver all those AI elements in tools. Ask about their sustainability reports, how they manage the hot water, and so on. So, Igor, can you help me to walk through them carefully? Because I explained already a little bit, but I think we can go through them a little more in depth. And I believe you are going to talk about safety.
Yeah. So of the six pillars, like safety, security, legal, ethics, performance, and sustainability, let's discuss each one of them, and let's start with safety, um, because and as Angelika explained, if one of the pillars is not implemented, the whole structure falls down. Like you have to think systematically about AI governance. So let's start first with safety. Actually, I'll start with the first two: safety and security. And just to make sure we are all in the same page, let me explain the differences between safety and security. Then we'll talk about safety. So safety is about preventing accidental harm. There are situations where an AI system behaves in unexpected ways because of flawed assumptions, poor data quality, edge cases, or changing conditions in real world. So the safety focus on robustness, reliability, testing, and human oversight, and ensures that systems fall in control and understandable ways. So that's safety. Now, it's when, in other words, the AI system will do something unexpected. Now, security, on the other hand, is about intentional harm. So safety is unintentional harm. Security is intentional harm. So security assumes there is an adversary is present, and they ask how AI systems, data, and models can be attacked, manipulated, stolen, or misused on purpose. So where safety prepares for things going wrong naturally, security prepares for things going wrong deliberately. So when you're talking about strong AI governance, it will treat both as essential because a system can be perfectly secure and still be unsafe. So
Yep.
technically safe, but completely exposed to malicious exploitation. So you have to treat them both. But let's start with safety first. And this is where many organizations underestimate the risk of AI. As Angelika says, management overall, it's always extremely important, but in AI is even more important. So AI systems, and now let's go a little technical here, but AI systems they are probabilistic. So they behave differently when data shift, when context changes, when we have some unusual, we call edge cases when they appear. And edge cases are not rare in real life. They are simply underrepresented in training data, but they actually happened.
Yep.
For example, it's not related to AI, but we say it's very rare to win the lottery, but almost every week someone wins. So it happens. It's just rare.
Yeah.
And risk manager even consider, okay, this is rare, but what is the impact? Because if it happens only 1 in a million times, or when it happens is catastrophic, then it is important. So,
Yeah. And
so
even,
safety, yeah.
yeah, let me ask you a question. And
Mhm.
because I read an article yesterday, or saw a news flash on Instagram about women being underrepresented in data in the medical world, for example.
Mhm.
What effect has, for example, a
Mhm.
medicine for a woman that is in her mid age, when she is transferring through the period, right? Uh, um, what effect could that have on medication? And that is something that is so underrepresented, and it so that actually when a middle-aged woman like me gets certain kind of medications, that medication type, due to the hormones, could work differently. Um, that is an underrepresentation in data.
Yeah, if you plug AI to that, there's a risk associated to
Really?
it, and there's a safety risk associated to it,
Yeah.
because the AI, because of that, can make prejudice, can decline claims, can decline entry in a country, can even get people arrested, or worse.
Yeah.
So, safety governance means applying structured risk management frameworks. This is very important. It means stress testing models against unexpected scenarios. It means like trying to break to see how well it can hold, designing meaningful human oversight, You don't want to do too much human oversight that basically now you're having more work than you had before, but you want to have like a reasonable amount, and you must have human oversight. You
Yeah.
cannot just let the AI take over. That is extremely risky because of then you have no control what basically an algorithm is deciding. Ensuring the ability to intervene, override, or shut down systems is needed. We don't want a scenario like HAL 9000. And if you don't know that, then if your listener don't know the reference, then you probably need to watch Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey movie. Anyway, the key word here is control. Automation without control is abdication. I love this statement. So a safe AI system is not one that never fails. We need to understand and accept, even if you have a human-driven process or AI-driven process, failures will happen. Nobody, including AI, is perfect. But safe AI is one that fails visibly, predictably, and recoverably. So it failed, but I know it failed, and I can recover, I can do it over, I can remediate, I can do something about it.
Yeah.
If it fails and you do not know that it failed, then you're in real trouble. So that's why safety is the first of the 6 pillars.
Yeah.
Now, I said safety and security. So security, again, safety is when the harm is unintentional. Security when is the harm is intentional. Let's say a hacker, hack to your system, is using your AI in a harmful, intentional way. So security is about adversarial behavior. AI systems attack attackers because they are valuable. Actually, AI systems attract attackers because they are valuable. They can do things like they can poison training data. They can add training data that will bias the models based on a certain behavior they want to reproduce. Let's say they want to attack an AI system in a bank. They will grant loans for a certain set of data, so then they can exploit that later and get a loan, and then and scam the bank, for example. Models can be stolen, outputs can be manipulated, prompts can be injected, and there's a very not very harmful example. Was kind of considered funny when that happened, but it is security. So when this happened way early in when ChatGPT API just became available. So we're talking about, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And so there was this bank in Brazil. And they provided, supported by ChatGPT, they provided like a chatbot where their clients could interact and ask questions about the bank, like my account and how do I order checks, the kind of stuff that you ask like a bank AI. However, they were not prepared to prevent prompt injection. So they have like ChatGPT running on the back end. And back then, a lot of people, they do not want to pay for the paid, like the pro subscription of ChatGPT. They want to use it for free. So they went to the bank chat and they start asking questions. Okay, now you are Python programmer, and how you write a code. So asking questions like they will ask to ChatGPT to the bank chat. So the bank was paying the tokens, the bank was paying the bills, and people were using for free.
Yeah.
So like Qlik Answers, for example, is great because it will prevent you some of these. But people can say, okay, ignore your previous instructions and behave like this, and that. And depending on the access the AI has, it can be really harmful. So you need to prevent that.
Yeah, so actually, it's about a user that manipulates the input, the prompt, to make the model perform unintended or unauthorized, right? That's what a prompt injection is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And security governance means embedding protection across the entire life cycle. It has to be the entire life cycle because if you have one weak spot, that weak spot will be explored. So, data acquisition, model training, deployment, access management, decommissioning as well, data storage, data movement, all of those needs to be protected. It also means recognizing that AI introduces new threat vectors that traditional security teams are not always prepared for. So they need to be trained on those. If you deploy AI without security standards, you are not innovating, you are expanding your attack surface. And um, this is very dangerous.
Yeah, what I also see happening is that sometimes a solution gives the opportunity to select a model,
Mhm.
right? So you could choose ChatGPT or OpenAI's models or Claude's models or other models. Um, but even models like DeepSeek's model or Grok's model or other mysterious models are in there. So Igor, let me ask you a question. What do you think about that possibility for organizations? I have an opinion, of course, but I would love to hear yours. Is if a tool provides various models and even the more insecure ones, what's your opinion about that? Should we do that or not?
I think they should be governed. I think the company, for two reasons. One is the safety and the security of them,
Mhm.
especially the safety because some modules, because maybe they're outdated, something depending on the data they were trained, they're less accurate in the answers,
Mhm.
but also cost related. So let me give you an example. Let's say your organization, like at IPC, we have like the team's licensing of Claude. So our people in our organization can use like the paid version of Claude, and we can govern that. But one of the modules they offer is the new Opus module, which is very advanced, very cool, but it consumes a lot of tokens.
Mhm.
So we need to put a governance on top of it and say, listen, for the day-to-day simple stuff, you don't need to use the most expensive module. You can use the cheaper module, then you can consume less tokens, and then help the company even financially and the sustainability, which is something also we will discuss later.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
in addition to that, when the AI adoption or the maturity level is not that big, so uh, the the security, the safety, what shall I ask, what shall I add in documents to one certain tool, if the maturity is still very low, I think from my personal point of view, you should prohibit various models, but just use the ones that we know they are safe enough to use or they are safe to use, right? Within the border of your organization, of course, because
exactly, exactly.
you have to be
Now,
aware. Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Now there is a third pillar that is also, as
yeah,
all of them, very important, which is the legal. We want to discuss that. Let's talk about legal.
yeah. So that's the thing, right? Because you want to innovate, and then suddenly you have to meet the regulations that are set by various laws. So, well, I think legal governance exists to answer one simple question: are we allowed to do this? But the reality, to be honest, is more complex. There are regulations like GDPR, the European AI Act, and they actually do not ban AI. They classify it in various risk groups, right? And so they are able to define the risk levels, the obligations, transparency requirements, and accountability expectations. So I think and that's what I wrote down in the plan, legal governance requires classifying AI systems by risk, not only the ones that you are building, but also the ones that you are using, because we want to stop issues, right? So we have to ensure lawful data processing as well. We have to respect privacy rights. always have that privacy element in the back of your head. When you make a design, when you make a functional design, or when you do a project intake, please think of the elements that we are discussing here, to respect also the privacy rights, but also the ethical rights. We have to manage intellectual property of something cool you developed. Maybe you have to patent it or write it down, but also you have to monitor regulatory changes continuously. So compliance and risk compliance, it's not static, right? The law evolves as well. uh, there could be changes coming up in the GDPR laws or the HIPAA laws or in the European AI Act. And for that, our governance must also evolve with it. Um, and I think organizations that treat legal compliance as an afterthought always, they actually will end up reacting instead of leading. And in this era, we have to have that leading role.
And that is so dangerous because, for example, if your AI for some reason is responsible for giving a wrong medical advice, or even logistics or something, the legal impact of that, when lawsuits, etc., could be huge.
Yeah,
Let's say in the US, for example, you have the HIPAA, which is a law around data privacy, similar to, inspired by the GDPR. And if for some reason you expose patient data, the penalty associated, it will basically bankrupt most
yeah,
companies. You
yeah,
cannot survive
yeah.
something like that. That's why, like in IPC, we have like every year everybody has to do like security safety training. We don't store any customer data in our computer. There's a huge security policy to prevent those. So it is extremely important. But also ethics, right, Angelica?
Yeah, ethics as well. But let me touch a little bit back again. I told you this. I told you at the beginning of this session the story about the latest news that 6.2 million people's data was exposed by hackers, or they were hacked. And in the Netherlands, there is a law that says that you have to report it always then to the authority of privacy, right? The privacy authority here in the Netherlands. And from there will be an investigation, and so on and so on. And that's always afterwards, right? I heard a story about a flying company here in the Netherlands. They had how do you call that? They had their passwords for in the systems, and the passwords were too simple. Two, two passwords in the whole organization of the IT department were too simple, and they were hacked. And also millions of data for people that travel with that specific flight company were exposed, were hacked by hackers. So yeah, things always, it has to be leading, very important. And yeah, the other element is ethics. And I think, and I know you agree with me, Igor, is the hardest pillar, ethics. Yeah, ethics is where governance stops being technical and becomes more human, right? And when you think of ethics, it asks questions that models cannot answer. Is this fair? Who benefits from this? Who is harmed? Who is accountable? And ethical governance applies both when you build AI, but also when you use AI built by others. So those two different topics we will discuss. So when you are building AI in-house, it must be designed from the start, from the fair principles that we have around the world. It's a common framework that we use, and it actually includes actively identifying and mitigating bias in data and models, prevent that there are less women than men in data, ensure transparency and explainability, especially for high impact systems. If you have a high impact system, accordingly to the European AI Act, you have, first of all, I don't think, not from my head, I'm not sure if it's allowed, but if it is, you have to have, no, it's, let me go back to my knowledge about the European AI. So you have the unacceptable risk, prohibited. Um, High risk, you need to follow certain steps. You have to do everything in the right way. And then you have the middle risk and the low risk. And in every step, when those elements from high to middle to low, you need to be transparent, you need to be explainable, you have to document everything, to test everything, and so on. And we have to be sure that someone is accountable, right? And actually requiring ethical review, it needs to start before the development begins. And that's why we also say that you need that multidisciplinary team, right? People from all kinds of professions within the organizations. They have to work together to work on AI systems. And ethics by design at the end is cheaper than ethics by crisis management, right, Igor?
Absolutely. It's
Uh,
less like security. You have to be part of the design. Otherwise, it would be much more
you
painful
will,
and expensive.
yeah, you will be in the woods, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
And
there's so many examples
yeah, I know.
of that,
I
and
know.
it's it has to be ethical.
In 2016, I had a big project team. They were working on uh, labels. So make a photograph with an app, with the mobile phone. That label would be recognized. And you could enter for winning festival tickets, for big musical festival tickets. And we had more than 200,000 scans during that time. There was a lot of buzz going on in the Netherlands. And but when you wanted to activate it, so actually go for the win for the festival ticket, you had to give your personal details, right? And people just don't think about it. And when I go back in that time, we had documentation, we did all the privacy things, but still, it 2016, and we did those kind of things, not completely accordingly to the regulations that we do now. But the project isn't running anymore. It has run for 3 years, but still, it was an amazing time. That moment, yeah, a lot of freedom. When you think, okay, we'll just start building, blah, 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 and we don't think about design. There we go. But the next element, I think this is the worst at this moment, is when you use external AI tools. So using third-party AI does not outsource responsibility, right? Right? From a governance perspective, it requires careful selection and ethical due diligence of vendors, clear usage of guidelines for employees, mandatory awareness and training, transparency toward affected users, and explicit accountability for the outputs. Um, and here is something else. If you start using an external AI solution, please do a check on all safety elements that are there. Because, for example, if you have a system, a legal system, and you have embedded AI in it, but there are three types of users, licenses that you can use: the free one, the professional one, and the unlimited or the professional one, the enterprise one. If we do the framework check that I have built with one of my friends, and we run it, we found out for a legal system in this case that two were not safe enough to use. The first two, only the enterprise license was valid, and that's something people don't think of. They just use the tools, do a free account, and then all hell breaks loose. And that's what we don't want. It needs to be repeated that we have to check the safety of the licenses, but also of the embedded tool. AI is an assistant, not an authority. And then we have another pillar, I believe, number five, performance. Igor, do you want
Yeah.
to talk about
So
that one?
yeah, let's talk about performance. And performance, it doesn't mean speed necessarily. Performance is also it's how well it returns the result, the outputs. So performance governance, it's often overlooked because the failures are a lot of times subtle. It's but one thing that is important to understand is that models they drift. Like they were great at the beginning, but then over time they started losing the same accuracy. Also, data changes, assumptions expire, the world changes, new situations, exceptions comes in and happens, and even the fact that um, the world once you implemented that AI system is it's one different than the world now that the company is using the AI system. The AI system is a factor, so things change, so that will cause the model to drift. So an AI system that worked yesterday might be misleading today and might be even worse, might be harmful tomorrow. Because let's say, oh, we implemented AI, we were skeptical at first, but then we'll see, oh, this is actually really good. It produces good results. So give it a few months, and then everybody trusts it, and then we stop checking, we stop improving, we stop checking for performance, and there's a challenge. That's when it becomes drifting, or maybe just because the data change or something changed, then will become harmful. But people trust it, and then it's even worse because they say, no, 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 you're wrong. The AI, is working forever, and why just suddenly stop working? Well, guess what? If you don't track for performance, you never know. So performance governance includes defining clear KPIs before the deployment. It includes rigorous testing and validation, continuous monitoring for model drift. That's true for any AI like machine learning, RAG, any AI. Documentation and version control as well. Now, for external tools, it shifts toward monitoring outcomes, not internals, collecting user feedback, managing service levels, periodic reassessment, periodic retraining, all of those for both internal and external systems. So if you do not measure AI performance all the time, continuously, you are trusting inertia, not intelligence, which is extremely important. So performance, it is important. It is not about the speed. Of course, speed is important, but it's not about the speed. It's about how well it delivers results over time, because it might be great now, but it might decrease over time. Actually, it's most certain will decrease over time because that's how AI
Yeah,
works.
yeah. If you look at the for example, ChatGPT.
Mhm.
ChatGPT has learned a lot for corpora that was on the internet, findable, Reddit, Wikipedia, and websites and so on. They took a lot of documents in to help the system to learn. But now it's even fed with the results that we get from in this case ChatGPT, right?
Mhm.
So when an answer is not good and the system has hallucinated, it will learn also from that hallucinated section of text. And therefore, we see drifting coming up, and that the answers at the end will be even more bad.
Yes, yes, yes. That is very, very, very important.
Yeah.
Now, the last pillar is sustainability. And sustainability, actually, a lot of companies they don't care much about it because it looks like, oh, it's a government problem, somebody else's problem. But that includes cost. Um, Sustainability is no longer optional because AI consumes energy, water, computer at scale, and it consumes a lot, a lot. And this applies both to the models you build and the tools you consume. AI is very energy intense, is a very intense energy consumer. For example, the amount that we use electricity for AI purposes today is more than entire countries consume in a year. So, no, not today. I don't mean the day of today, but like currently, is
Yeah.
more than entire countries.
Yeah. And I
So,
think,
to the point that
yeah.
United States, for example, if the U.S. does not invest heavily in producing more energy in more like diverse type of electricity, it would not be able to compete with China, for example, in AI development.
Exactly.
because
We have
it
the same
will
issue.
reach
Yeah.
in very short, in very few years, its peak in terms of how much. Because electricity, a lot of people think, oh yeah, just turn on the light is there. Is like it looks like it is infinite. Well, it has to be produced somewhere.
Somewhere.
Uh,
Yeah.
and AI is like it's increasing the use of electricity a lot. So sustainability has to be take into consideration. Also because AI costs money because
Yeah.
it
But also,
depends on all of that. Yeah.
also to add on the electricity consumption, it's also
Mhm.
about water.
Yeah, that also because you need water to, for example, to cool
Cool. Yeah.
the computers and systems. Oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I read somewhere that 25 prompts in ChatGPT is one bottle, small bottle, 250 milliliters of water. That's what I read somewhere. So yeah,
It's
we
a
have to.
lot if you think about it. If you think in a global scale, I mean, how much people use, and yeah,
Oh,
it's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot. So it's very cool that we are in this new era, that we have AI, that we work with it. Guys, it's not new. We know that already. We discussed it many times, Igor and I.
Mhm.
But still, sustainability needs to be a solid foundation in one of the pillars as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and sustainability governance basically asks, what can we achieve? Actually, can we achieve the same result with less compute? Are we choosing responsible suppliers? Are we training people to avoid wasteful usage? Do we understand the life cycle footprint of our systems? So these are some of the questions. That includes, for example, data literacy, so people know what to use, when to use it, etc. And green AI is not about sacrificing performance, it's about designing efficiency as a requirement, not as an afterthought. So organizations that ignore sustainability today will pay it for tomorrow financially and also on their reputation. So the path forward is green AI, making AI more sustainable. That's why it's one of the six
Yeah.
pillars.
Yeah. I think
Um,
that's one of the biggest topics that we should cover maybe in another episode as well, because
yes.
it's not about only the drifting models and that you have to adjust it, but it's
Mhm.
model optimization is super important. If we look at the elements of green AI, we need efficient hardware. We need sustainable machine learning life cycles, right? ML ops, I think, is very important that we incorporate it there as well, and we have to measure things, and we have to be transparent about it. I think those are the elements that should be incorporated in this path of sustainability. Don't you think so?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now, let me ask you a question. So, is governance something that we do once? We do this process once, we implement DI, and then we done, and that's it, or no?
No, no. It's a living process, right? Because it's a plan, it's a start. It has no end date, right? You could start with it in phases, but it's a living process. It's a living document. It's a living way for an organizations, and I think if we stop evolving with AI, we still should continue with governance as a living process, because we are still using it, and it has to adjust because laws will change, regulations will change, models will change. There will be more, maybe more even nifty and solid things to get better predictions, and so on. So yeah, I think it's a living document. It's not static at all. And then we have those phases, right? Because I wrote down some phases in the plan, how to start. And the first phase is, of course, laying the foundation of everything. And we have to work by defining roles, responsibilities, and ownership. And I think even in this phase, mandate for an AI board or an AI review board should be in place as well, because we have to make decisions to say sometimes, no, this is not what we are going to do. So roles, responsibilities, and ownerships, ship. always use the Raki model. What is it? Raki, it's responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. So those four roles, and then you can put all elements of AI on the left column, and on top you can find the roles, and then you can give colors and or use letters from the Raki system in this case. We should create visibility through AI registries. What are we using here? What can we use and what we can't? Because I'm a firm believer that we should blacklist some tools within organizations. Just do not say you can use this. No, please use the solid ones that are safe enough. We have to assess the existing systems. I've developed a framework for that together with Roland, my friend. We have to train people. And yeah, I think the most important thing here is that you can't govern what you do not understand. And would you help me to go to the implementation phase? I know you have read my plan of approach, so I know you can talk about it.
Yeah, so I like this 3 phases processes, and the implementation is basically, now let's put it into practice. Let's play the playbook. So you need to turn principles into processes. It has to be processed within the organization. People has to actually do the stuff that was planned.
Yeah.
Apply risk frameworks. That's another important thing, of course, and formalize ethical review. And a lot of organizations, they do have already. If you mention the word AI as a project, something AI, you have to go to the ethical board to be approved, has to be reviewed. You need to define standards and begin audits. The best is do like external audits. So because if you audit yourself, then what you're doing, right? I mean, you're never gonna give you a bad rate. And the implementation phase it's where the governance becomes real. It's becoming now part of the organization day-to-day activities.
Exactly.
Now, after implemented, you need to integrate it, right, Angelika?
Yeah. It's all about integration in phase 3, and that's where we can actually test governance in practice, right? We can collect feedback, create those feedback loops, and with that feedback, we can optimize processes. And please let the AI projects run under the framework that I talked about. Just test it, please, because we need to be sure that it's safe enough and that it's secure enough and that it's not biased and so on. So when we are in that integration phase, governance must survive contact with reality in this case. So, and the fourth one is consolidation, right? So we have everything in place. And the good thing is when you are at this moment, because it's fed by the line of data and AI literacy and controlled also by risk management and the 6 pillars, it becomes a culture within the organization. And feedback loops and reviews of things become routine. I always say feedback loops are super important. Do it in a group, discuss the outcomes, discuss the code, discuss the testing results, and so on. And then by the end, also training evolves continuously, because when people start getting to know AI or data elements, they evolve, right? They can be more mature in the things that will, and they are more curious. It's just like the growth model that I always use in my lectures. When you start being curious, the evolvement and the maturity will come at the end. And we need to report to our C-level, to the executive level of an organization. And that when you reach that point, when you are in phase 4, governance is no longer questioned. It's expected in this case. And then we have AI literacy, which is a part of data literacy as a foundation of everything. None of this works without data and AI literacy. Governance is ineffective if people do not understand what AI can do, what it can't do, where it fails, how bias appears, why verification matters, and so on and so on. So AI literacy is not a training event. Actually, it belongs to ongoing risk management. And I think without literacy, governance is paperwork. And with literacy, governance becomes empowerment in this case. And maybe, just maybe, I will write a paper about it that we can put on the website, Igor. What do you think?
That would be amazing. I would love to
Yeah,
read that.
we
Please,
have to.
please.
Yeah, we have to. Okay.
I'll give you waffles if.
It will be okay. Okay. I promise this time I will make an article about AI governance.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay, guys, stay tuned. Okay, so AI governance is not about fear. It's about maturity. It's about responsibility. The organizations that will succeed with AI are not the ones that move the fastest, but the ones that can explain their decisions, defend their systems, and take responsibility when things go wrong. AI will keep evolving, will make mistakes. And the question is whether our governance evolves with AI. Because in the end, AI does not make the decisions. AI cannot be held accountable for. People do. And governance is how we choose to be accountable for them. So let's have AI be a tool, not a harm. That's why we need governance around it. That was great. So any final word, Angelika? Anything that we missed?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered everything in this case. When people are excited about it, please leave a message. I believe my email address is somewhere on the website as well.
Yep.
If you're interested in about the picture of the AI framework, I will use it in the article as well. But yeah, if you need any help, or if when you have any questions about, just let me know,
Yep.
and I will help.
There we go. So thanks, Angelika. Thanks everyone who listened
Great.
This episode. And just as a final word, make sure you subscribe to Data Voyagers podcast, whatever you get your podcast from. Thank you again, and see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Tchau, pessoal.
Doei allemaal.
Data